Welcome to my channel. Learn English, live it, and speak with confidence. From Failure to Brilliance, a story about finding purpose, love, and the power of knowledge. Chapter 1: The Girl Who Felt Invisible. Lina had always believed that failure was her natural language. In every classroom she entered, she carried the quiet certainty that success belonged to others, not to her. Her notebooks were filled with half-written sentences and abandoned calculations, symbols of effort without direction. Teachers spoke around her rather than to her, and classmates rarely noticed when she slipped into the back row, hoping to disappear before the lesson even began. At home, Lena's room was cluttered with old textbooks and unfinished dreams. She would sit by the window at night, watching the city lights flicker like opportunities she could never reach. Each light felt like a reminder of her confusion, of how she walked through life without a map. She wasn't lazy, she told herself. She was simply lost, unsure of where to place her energy or why she should even try. School mornings were the hardest. Lina dragged her feet through the hallways, listening to the confident voices of students who spoke about grades, competitions, and futures with ease. Their certainty intimidated her. She felt like an outsider in a world that measured worth through achievement, a world she didn't understand and feared she never would. In class, her mind often wandered. While the teacher explained formulas and theories, Lina stared at the board as if it were written in a foreign language. She wasn't stupid, but she lacked belief, and without belief, every lesson felt heavier than the last. Failure became familiar, almost comforting, because it required no expectations. Her classmates labeled her quietly. Some thought she didn't care. Others assumed she simply couldn't do better. Lina heard the whispers and accepted them as truth. Over time, she began to see herself through their eyes, shrinking her dreams until they were small enough not to hurt. The idea of success felt distant, like a story meant for someone else. Lina never imagined herself standing at the top of the class or being praised for intelligence. Those roles were reserved for people who were born confident, born brilliant. She believed she was neither. Yet deep inside, beneath layers of doubt, there was a small spark she barely acknowledged. It appeared in quiet moments when she wondered what it might feel like to understand something fully, to feel proud instead of ashamed. She quickly pushed those thoughts away, afraid of disappointment. Every failure added another wall between Lina and hope. Still, she continued to attend school day after day, carrying her uncertainty like a shadow. She didn't know it yet, but her life was standing at the edge of change, waiting for a single moment to shift everything. That moment arrived quietly, on an ordinary day, disguised as a simple encounter that would soon rewrite her entire story. Chapter 2: The Boy at the Top. Ethan was everything Lina believed she could never be. He was the first-ranked student in the class, known for his sharp mind and calm confidence. Teachers praised him openly, and students respected him without question. When he spoke, others listened, not because he demanded attention, but because his words carried clarity. Lina noticed him the first time he answered a difficult question without hesitation. There was no arrogance in his voice, only understanding. She watched from her seat, fascinated by how naturally knowledge seemed to flow through him. To her, Ethan represented a world she had never been invited into. They lived in different realities, or so Lina thought. Ethan sat near the front, surrounded by students who shared his ambition. Lina stayed in the back, silent and uncertain. Their paths were not meant to cross, and she accepted that as another unchangeable rule of her life. One afternoon, however, fate ignored those rules. During a group assignment, the teacher paired Lina and Ethan together. Panic tightened in her chest as she realized she would have to speak, to think, to contribute. She feared becoming a burden, confirming everything she believed about herself. Ethan noticed her hesitation immediately. Instead of showing impatience, he smiled gently and asked her opinion. His tone was calm, respectful, as if her thoughts truly mattered. Lena was startled by the simplicity of his kindness, by the absence of judgment. When she struggled to explain her ideas, Ethan listened carefully, helping her organize her thoughts without making her feel small. For the first time, Lena felt seen not as a failure, but as someone capable of learning. That feeling stayed with her long after the bell rang. In the following days, Lena found herself thinking about their conversation. She replayed his words in her mind, realizing that understanding wasn't magic, it was a process. Ethan hadn't been born knowing everything. He had learned, step by step. A quiet curiosity began to grow inside her. She started to wonder what it would be like to understand science the way Ethan did, to feel that sense of control over knowledge. The idea no longer felt impossible, just unfamiliar. Without realizing it, Lena had taken her first step toward change, guided not by pressure, but by inspiration. Chapter 3: Falling in Love with Knowledge. Lena's interest in learning began subtly. She opened her textbooks at home, not because she was forced to, but because she wanted to understand. Each page felt less intimidating than before. She remembered Ethan's patience and tried to show the same patience to herself. At first, progress was slow. Lena made mistakes, reread paragraphs, and struggled with concepts that seemed simple to others. But something was different now. Instead of giving up, she pushed through the confusion, driven by a growing determination she had never felt before. Science, once her greatest fear, became her favorite subject. She loved how answers followed logic, how curiosity led to discovery. For the first time, learning felt meaningful. It wasn't about grades anymore. It was about growth. Ethan noticed the change. He saw Lena raising her hand more often, asking questions, engaging in discussions. He admired her effort, recognizing the courage it took to rebuild confidence from nothing. Her determination impressed him more than natural talent ever could. Some classmates, however, were less supportive. They whispered that Lena was pretending, that she would eventually fail again. When they mocked her mistakes, Ethan stepped in calmly, defending her efforts and reminding them that learning was a journey, not a competition. His support gave Lena strength. Knowing that someone believed in her made the challenges easier to face. She studied harder, not to impress him, but because she had begun to love the process of learning itself. Late nights found Lena surrounded by books, notes scattered across her desk. Fatigue mixed with excitement as she solved problems on her own. Each correct answer felt like a victory, a step closer to the person she was becoming. Slowly, her grades improved. Teachers noticed. The same voices that once spoke around her now spoke to her, offering encouragement. Lena felt proud, not because she was perfect, but because she had refused to give up. Knowledge had become more than a subject. It was a source of confidence, and it was changing everything. Chapter 4: Standing Strong. As Lena's success grew, so did the challenges. Some students felt threatened by her progress and tried to undermine her confidence. They questioned her achievements, suggesting she was only succeeding because of help from others. These words hurt more than Lena expected. Old doubts resurfaced, whispering that maybe they were right. But this time, she didn't face them alone. Ethan stood by her side, openly acknowledging her hard work and intelligence. When rumors spread, Ethan confronted them with calm honesty. He spoke about effort, persistence, and respect, reminding everyone that no one had the right to define another's limits. His defense was firm, not aggressive, and it earned Lena more respect than silence ever could. Inspired by his courage, Lena learned to defend herself as well. She spoke confidently about her studies, her struggles, and her growth. Each word strengthened her belief that she belonged in that space. Academically, Lena continued to excel. She ranked among the top students, surprising even herself. Success no longer felt like an accident, it felt earned. The girl who once feared the classroom now felt at home within it. Ethan's admiration deepened as he watched her transformation. He saw not just intelligence, but resilience. Lena's journey reminded him that true strength came from perseverance, not perfection. Their friendship grew stronger, built on mutual respect and shared curiosity. They studied together, challenged each other, and celebrated progress, big and small. Their bond was quiet but powerful. For Lena, standing strong meant more than defending her grades. It meant owning her story, accepting her past failures without letting them define her future. She had learned that weakness could become strength when met with determination. She was no longer invisible. She was becoming someone she was proud of. Chapter 5: A New Beginning. By the end of the year, Lena stood among the top students in her class. The change felt surreal, yet deeply satisfying. She looked back at her past self with compassion, grateful that she hadn't given up. Her love for science had expanded into a love for learning itself. Knowledge was no longer a tool for validation, but a pathway to understanding the world and herself. Lena felt empowered, capable of facing challenges beyond the classroom. Ethan, now openly admiring her, confessed how inspired he was by her journey. He told her that watching her rise had changed his own perspective on success. For him, Lena's growth was more impressive than any rank. Their connection deepened into something more than friendship, built on shared respect and mutual support. They encouraged each other's dreams, understanding that success was richer when shared. Teachers praised Lena not just for her grades, but for her attitude and perseverance. She became a symbol of change, proof that failure was not an ending, but a beginning. Lena began helping other struggling students, offering patience and understanding just as Ethan once had for her. She knew how powerful a single act of kindness could be. The girl who once feared the future now dreamed boldly. She understood that success wasn't a straight path, but a journey shaped by effort, support, and belief. As Lena walked through the school halls on the last day, she no longer felt invisible. She felt strong, confident, and hopeful. Her story was no longer about failure. It was about transformation, and it was only the beginning.